Habermas is not woke. The critical theorist from the Frankfurt School, Habermas, wrote a book called The Philosophical Discourse of Modernity. He gives a very thorough defense of Enlightenment rationalism in Europe during the modern era. This shows how phenomenally dumb public intellectuals like former clinical psychologist Jordan Peterson and particularly professional crackpot James Lindsay are. The latter often goes around either lying or being fucking dumb about critical theorists like Habermas, Adorno, and others by calling them woke. Arguing for modernity, enlightenment values, and rationalism is not at all a woke thing to do, dude. In fact, it's exactly what supposed anti-woke warriors do. Hi, Pot, have you been talking to a black kettle lately? Habermas and even Adorno support most of the exact same causes and values as Lindsay and Peterson. Anyway, Habermas talks about the so-called problem of universal history in sociology of religion. He asks why, to him, Enlightenment rationalism didn't occur outside of Europe during the modern era. That's obviously a fucking oversimplification. But my criticism aside, he argues specifically that parts of the world outside of Europe did not embark on the same path toward rationalization. They did not experience the same scientific, artistic, political, and economic development. Habermas explores possible reasons for this. He agrees with the idea that there's a self evident intrinsic relationship between modernity and rationalism. To Habermas and many others, including other critical theorists, European disenchantment with religion and increased secularization was a rational process. Cultural forces took shape around modern empirical science, art, as well as moral and legal theory grounded in principles. The culture of these disciplines, founded on principles, allowed for learning processes about the logistics of theoretical, aesthetic, moral, and practical problems. So let's see just how incredibly wrong James Lindsay and Jordan Peterson are about Habermas supposedly being woke. In the Philosophical Discourse of Modernity, the latter powerfully defends rationalism, the Enlightenment, and modernity. These are the exact classical liberal values that Lindsay and Peterson cherish. Obviously, Habermas is not woke in terms of his values on these subjects, since he shares them with these fucking crackpots. I mean, look at the word modernity that I used earlier. If nothing else, Habermas arguing for modernity, in spite of Lindsay calling him a fucking postmodernist, shows you how full of shit Lindsay is. Peterson catastrophizing about Lindsay's hyperbolic misinterpretations of so-called postmodernists shows you how full of shit Peterson is. Habermas also assumes the premise that the Enlightenment did not occur outside of Europe. Whether this qualifies as woke probably depends on who you ask. It's anti-woke if you use this to claim that Europe is superior. It's perhaps woke if you argue that Europe suppressed innovation from other countries. Habermas sure expresses this as an anti-woke way, though. He says that other parts of the world didn't get on the noble path towards rationalization. This meant to him that they didn't experience the same benefits of artistic, political, scientific, and economic innovation. So, Habermas sees Europe as superior to other countries during the Enlightenment because their society was radically transformed by innovation in all of these intellectual and artistic fields. Clearly, believing that the Enlightenment made Europe better than other continents/countries is not a woke thing to do at fucking all. Habermas also claimed that there's a self-evident intrinsic link between modernity and rationalism. This can be interpreted as woke if you're a post-structuralist or so-called postmodernist who is unfavorable to modernism, like Foucault, because there are postmodernists who are favorable to modernism. But this isn't woke for Habermas because we know that he's a fan of rationalism and modernity. He also saw it as rational that people got disenchanted with religion and became secular during the Enlightenment. This is part of the typical, supposedly classical liberal values that Peterson and Lindsay always preach about as well. So, Habermas isn't woke in terms of religion either. He also isn't woke about the intellectual and artistic fields that experienced innovation during the Enlightenment. This led to increased education about them, followed by artistic, political, economic, and scientific development. Seeing Europe as having been dramatically improved by Enlightenment rationalism in the modern era is obviously very anti-woke. So, Habermas fucking loves rationalism, the Enlightenment, and modernity. That's anti-woke. He also thought that the Enlightenment made Europe better than other continents/countries due to increased innovation and rationalism in politics, science, art, and economics. That's anti-woke. He saw a self-evident or synthetic a priori link between modernity and rationalism. This was tremendously amazing to him because he thought that Enlightenment rationalism made Europe and the world at large a better place. That's anti-woke. Habermas is not woke.